As you guys know, I've been kind of talking about speaking up, been talking about isolation, and it's been like kind of like this whole 2020 check-in series that I've been doing. But the whole theme has been like being able to talk to maybe your friends, getting around your friends, your encouraging friends, your believing friends. And I think that can be a struggle for somebody who feels like they don't have none, feels like they don't have no godly community, they don't have no encouraging friends, they don't actually have people that like could be like, yo, like these are my friends that really sharpen me, challenge me, hold me accountable, bring me higher. Like these are the people that actually, when I get around them, I see a better side of me or a different side of me that is in alignment or in agreement with where I'm trying to go in life. And I think like this is what this particular video is for. And I want to talk about how I went from, in a sense, trying to pursue God, where essentially I had to leave some friends. And, I kind of did this walk with God alone, or I tried to do it alone. But essentially, like in my walk, one of the most challenging things is when God asked me to separate from my friends. And I had some friends where they weren't bad people. They weren't crazy. Like, you know how I used to always tease it when I used to preach that message about like friends. I used to always say like, like the pastor or your mom or your dad or your people around you to say, you need to get around, you got to get away from those crazy friends of yours. And I was like, well, what happens if you're the craziest one? Like, what if you're the crazy one? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was the one that, in a sense, I influenced some of my friends, and, I was the one that was in kind of like the most trouble. Like, it wasn't them, but essentially, where I was trying to go, in a sense, a lot of stuff that we were doing, I just couldn't be around it anymore. And I recognized that it wasn't them, it was the things that we were doing. But as I was around, I found myself being influenced by them rather than me influencing them, in a sense, when I was trying to pursue God or just going a different direction in my life. And anybody that knows me, I love my friends. And still to this day, I'm cool with all my friends. When we were younger, like I really knew that God was calling me deeper. I knew he was calling me to more. And I knew that he was changing me. I knew that he was revealing to me my true identity in him. And I recognized that, like I have to separate myself. And ultimately, my friends watched me struggle a lot. Like they watched me, like we used to do all the craziest things together. And while we were doing it, I'm like, yo, I can't keep doing this because I'm supposed to be pursuing God. I'm supposed to be really just chasing after him and doing what I know he's calling me to do. And they would watch me struggle, in a sense. But God used to always tell me, son, the greatest thing you could have ever done for your friends was separate from them. And it's not in a sense that, like, again, it's not, the emphasis isn't on just getting away from them, but they needed to see how serious I was about my walk with God. Like sometimes I feel like our friends, we could sometimes get in this mode where we're talking a lot, but we're not doing a lot. We're not really showing them, what's really happening in our lives as we're pursuing God. So essentially they're looking at us like, yeah, like, I don't get it, but okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I love you, but I don't understand. But yeah, essentially I had to really just take a step away from my friends, and it hurt. And I got in this place in my life where I was really pursuing God, early in my walk. And I literally said, like, God, you want me to do this thing with you? You want me to pursue you? I'm going to need you to send me some friends. Like, I'm going to need some godly friends, some Christian friends, some people that are gonna, be on the same mission as me, be on the same journey as me, so I could do this thing and not be so, I guess, discouraged by sometimes the feeling of loneliness, feeling like I'm alone in this thing, feeling like, like I ain't got nobody, this is hard. I literally just began to pray for God to send me some godly friends, send me or give me godly community. And the crazy part is I never really knew about godly community. I never even knew that was like a thing. I was really young. So I was just praying that, not realizing that, now I can say like, godly community is like that's where it is, period. But so basically like I prayed that, and I was literally sitting in this row, actually, in the sanctuary. And basically I went up to the altar for like this prayer, and back then I was at the altar all the time because I just needed God. I just wanted anything God I wanted. And there was a young man that was sitting like 3 seats over. His name is Michael. And he literally kept staring at me. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what's up with bull? Like, why he acting weird? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not just sitting there like, God, like, what's up with this dude? And I already sense he's probably like got some word for me, or he wants to tell me something. And when I was young, that's like the last thing I wanted to hear, is that God told you something, or God has something to tell me, in a sense. And that's a story for another day. And then he just kept looking at me, and eventually, like, I'm trying to help him out, like, all right, like, what's up? Like, if I give you a look, maybe that'll give you like that cue to just talk to me or speak up, in a sense. And he just kind of tapped me, and he was like, yo, like, just asking me questions. He's asking me where I go to school. He was asking me, like, what I'm into and stuff like that. And he was like, yo, honestly, let me just stop beating around the bush. Like, when I saw you up there at the altar, like, God spoke to me. He told me that if I didn't speak to you, that I would regret it for the rest of my life. Now, the God spoke to me thing threw me all the way off. But then the words that followed after that kind of made me look at it kind of differently. Like, wait a minute, like, it takes a lot of humility for a man to say that if I don't speak to you, another man, that I will regret it for the rest of my life. And I'm like, wow, like, that's powerful. That takes a lot of humility to say that, or to confess that. So it was one of those things where it was like, all right, I'm gonna see what this is about. So we just was talking, and we started to click on so many levels. Everything we were saying was like, wow, like, crazy. That's boom, boom, boom. Like, we were just saying all these things that, we wanted in this season, or what God was doing in this season. So it was really beautiful. But then literally, like, the day after that, or a couple of days after that, I was looking at this guy call my phone, text my phone. And I was like, nah, like, I'm not doing this. Like, stop texting me, bro. Like, we're not cool. We're not close. And God had to remind me, son, this is what you prayed for. I believe there are a lot of people that want godly community, that want godly friendships, right? And I believe that God has sent them people, but they don't recognize it. They don't recognize it's the very thing they actually need. They don't recognize the thing that they prayed for. You see what I'm saying? And the reason why I want to talk about that is because, like, I believe that God provides each and every one of our needs. And if we need it, it's there. And if we can't see it, it's because we don't recognize it. So yeah, basically, I said, okay, well, then I have to put myself in a position, put myself in a place where I allow him to be my friend. And that goes into things like trust issues. That goes into things like getting close to people. And I was in a season of my life where there was no new friends. I got separated from my friends that, in a sense, weren't going the same direction as me. Then I prayed for godly friends. And then when they came, I didn't want to get close to them. It makes no sense, but that's what we do. And the reality is, I want to encourage someone, in a sense, that if you're praying for godly friends, right, you have to open up your eyes and recognize this is God providing. You see what I'm saying? And something I said in an old video I did, God's provision is not always your preference. And the reason why, a lot of the times, besides all the other underlining things that I didn't accept these new friendships, is because these godly friendships that God brought to me, none of them look like me. None of them talk like me. None of them act like me. None of them dress like me. My aunt used to crack a joke about me and my friends. All of us look alike. We had the same haircut. We dress the same sneakers. We all into the same things. That's how it was. When you was making friends when young, you just, like, it was like the smallest thing made y'all cool. Like, oh, you live over here? All right, we cool. Oh, you like Jordans? All right, we cool. Oh, you be with, oh, all right, we cool. Like, but in my walk with Christ, in my walk with Jesus, like, in pursuing God, the relationships he brought to me, if I'm honest, none of the people I'm cool with now, I would have never been cool with if I wasn't walking with God at all. But in me finding out my true identity, in a sense, and in me actually coming to know who I am more in Christ, I recognized they're not who I wanted, but they're who I needed. But then it got to the point where I recognized, no, but they actually are what I wanted. See, I didn't know who I was. And as I got closer to God and he revealed to me who I was, the people that God has sent me, they're my family now. So it's powerful. You see, and the testimony is, that was a young man who had trust issues, who honestly had a hard time letting people in. And then on top of that, was very, very, very picky about, in a sense, who he got close to. And that was the same young man who was alone, that God was calling to build communities. And I went from just Mike, right, to now, like, literally when you see me, you see a village. And I just think that it's the power of God, and I want somebody that may be alone, in a sense. And a lot of Christians sometimes walk this walk alone. But the reality is God will send you people, because like I said in the previous video, we are born for relationships. And I think the challenge is, number one, praying and asking God to send you some friends, send you some good people, some godly people, some people that are going to help you, encourage you, edify you, challenge you. And then when they come, allow them in. Obviously guarding your heart, paying attention to fruit, because in loneliness or when you're alone, you naturally are going to want to get close to people, but that can't be the excuse why you put your guard down. You see what I'm saying? So let God send you people, but they also have to be qualified for access. Not everybody that we call friend is our friend. And not everybody that just simply is around us is qualified for access to us. And that's why, see, you have to guard your heart, because the issues of life flow from that place. And believe it or not, most of our issues in life came from when we mismanaged our heart, when it came to the people we gave access to that never were supposed to have that access. So, you know, God he really blessed me. I had to separate from certain friends, and then God gave me some more friends. It's somebody that maybe if it was in my position back in those days. Challenge yourself. Remind yourself that provision is not your preference. And just because someone doesn't look like you, talk like you, or even if they, make you uncomfortable sometimes, don't disqualify those people. Allow God to reveal to you, okay, this is somebody that he wants you to, get close to or whatever. It's a challenging journey, but I want that person to know that's been listening to all my videos in a sense in this recent time about this 2020 check-in and talking about speaking up and talking about isolation. I was talking a lot about getting around your encouraging friends. That's very difficult when you feel like you don't have none. Pray. Ask God to send them to you, and he will. He will.